All right, so as I mentioned earlier, let's begin the show with the focus on your retirement and pension planning. It's time for All About NPS. And today I have with me Pankaj Mathpal, who is the MD of Optima Money Managers, to explain us Tier 1 and Tier 2 account under NPS. So Pankaj, good evening and welcome to the show. NPS as a retirement tool is very well known, but a lot of confusion in terms of investment strategies and how to strategize your particular financial goal, which is a retirement goal as per NPS. A lot of investor-friendly decisions have been taken under NPS, in last few months. Or over the year, we've seen NPS grown much more closer to investors for a very crucial goal called as retirement. But talking about the process of investing in this instrument, it gets tricky sometimes because there are so many changes, the regulatory changes that we come across. It started with Tier 1 account, and then we saw a Tier 2 account coming up. Now, as per both of these accounts, you can invest in NPS schemes. But there are still certain differences and certain differences in terms of features also that you can get either in Tier 1 or Tier 2 accounts. So let's decode all of this today, Pankaj. And let's start with the similarities that's there between Tier 1 and Tier 2 account under NPS.
Kavita, good evening. There are less similarities and more differences in two accounts because NPS Tier 1 account is a retirement account. There you contribute regularly and you accumulate a big amount for your pension. And at the age of 60, you start getting pension, means you transfer that money, whatever accumulated in Tier 1 account, you transfer it to Annuity plans. And as far as Tier 2 is concerned, that is a savings account basically, where you contribute for your short-term needs. So you contribute some money whenever you want to invest, you invest, and whenever you want to withdraw money from there, you are allowed to withdraw from Tier 2 account. So only similarity is that both are market linked. So whatever you contribute, that is invested in equity, corporate bonds, and government securities, and returns are generated based on market performance. Otherwise, both the accounts have different objectives. As I said, Tier 1 is for retirement, and Tier 2 is for your short-term needs.
All right. So clearly, as explained by you, Tier 1 is your pension account, which is a compulsory account, and Tier 2 can be your savings account. Now, I want to understand there are schemes under NPS where you can invest. You can invest in those schemes via Tier 1 account and Tier 2 account. So my question to you is, are those schemes the same in both the accounts, and what are those schemes?
See, when you contribute in NPS, you have choice to invest in equity, corporate bond, government securities, and alternative investment fund. So if you talk about Tier 1 account, which is a pension account, basically, there you have four choices. So up to 75% of your total contribution, you can decide to contribute in equity. Again, means there are two choices, whether you want to opt for active choice or auto choice. So if you opt for active choice, you can contribute up to 75% in equity. So if you suppose decide to invest 1 lakh rupees, so 75,000 can go in equity. Then there is corporate bond, which is a debt instrument, and there is government securities. In addition to this, there is also alternative investment fund. So you have four asset class options. As far as Tier 2 is concerned, there you have equity, corporate bond, and government securities. So alternative investment is not a choice there. So in three asset classes, you can divide your contribution. So now coming to returns, see, if you invest in equity, you know that volatility can be more. Equity has a nature, as its nature, it has volatility. So you have to decide that how much percentage you want to allocate in equity, how much in corporate bonds, and how much in government securities. But if you do not have good knowledge about these asset classes, you have a choice of which is called auto choice. So in auto choice, which is a part of Tier 1 account for your pension, you can opt for auto choice. So depending on your age, initially your contribution, your allocation will more into equity, and as the age progresses, your allocation in equity will keep reducing, and in government securities, your allocation will we keep increasing. So as an investor, you can decide whether auto choice or active choice, which will be better for you.
Sure. Now, this stays in the investor's hand or their risk appetite and the kind of time horizon they are left with to strategize under NPS. But having said that, since we are investing in schemes and these schemes are led by pension fund managers, obviously there will be some factor of costing. So, talking about costing now, what's the cost towards these schemes if one is investing via tier 1, tier 2? Is the costing different or it's the same? There is in terms of costing structure of the product, there is no difference irrespective of the account you invest through.
There is no difference in the cost, but thing is here there are different costs come into picture. One is that fund management charges, which will remain same whether you invest in tier 1 or tier 2. But in addition to this, there are charges for contribution made for transactions, I mean, or you want a statement, physical copy of statement, you have to pay for that. So there are several charges applicable into account. It's not that a total expense ratio here. For each service, whether it's a transaction or it's a non-financial transaction, there will be separate charges, but charges are same whether it's a tier 1, tier 2. But for, as I mentioned, in tier 1, because you are investing for long term, there may be lesser transactions, or maybe in tier 2, you are withdrawing frequently, maybe more transactions may be there. So based on that, you have to see that how much you are spending.
Let's talk about annuity, okay? Tier 1 is your pension account. You're also investing through tier 2. Now, talking about annuity, at 60, when you are taking a lump sum amount out, which could be which is EEE, the remaining 40% you are supposed to invest in annuity and strategize your pension accordingly. Will that annuity come from tier 2 or only from tier 1?
Yes. First thing, from tier 2, you can transfer money to tier 1. See, it's a one-way system. From tier 2, which is a savings account, from there you can transfer the amount to tier 1. From tier 1, you can transfer to tier 2. And second thing, tier 2 account is optional and only available for the subscribers who have valid tier 1 account. Now your question is whether you will get pension from both account or one account. See, if you suppose you have both the accounts and you have accumulated some money in tier 2 as well, and you do not want to withdraw that and you want to take pension out of total money. So as I mentioned, from tier 2 account, you can transfer the amount to tier 1, and then from tier 1, you can transfer that money for buying annuity plans and your annuity will start. So as you mentioned that 60% you can withdraw in lump sum and 40% compulsorily has to be used for buying annuity, but minimum 40%. But suppose an investor wants a larger amount as an annuity, so you have choice that you can withdraw lesser than 60% and more amount you can use for buying annuity. So that option is also available. So from tier 2 directly you cannot buy annuity, but you can transfer that money to tier 1 and then this can be done. And second choice, because these annuity plans are open plans, means anybody who has not contributed in NPS can also buy. So one option is that for tier 2, whatever money is there, you withdraw it and you use that for buying annuity directly.
All right. Pankaj, one last question in this particular segment called All About NPS, and then we'll take a quick break. I just want to understand your recommendation. Should one be going for a tier 2 account? See, tier 1 is a compulsory account. Without that, you cannot enter into a product like NPS. Should one be going for a tier 2 also? Should one be actually using it as a savings account? Because see, it's very cost effective. That's the biggest takeaway or a benefit for an investor's point of view also. What would you say?
It's like a mutual fund, open-ended mutual fund, where you can invest any moment, you can withdraw whenever you want. So if you have investment in mutual fund separately, you can even skip investing in tier 2. Otherwise, it is a good choice, same like mutual funds.
All right, so that's a take coming up from Pankaj Mathpal in our special segment called All About NPS. So we'll just wind up this discussion and then we have to further lead on to our viewer query section also. But just in case you have watched our segment All About NPS and want to know anything about NPS, you can send across your questions on our WhatsApp number and email ID.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits. And then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.